The daughter enters the room where her father is and asks him not to go and that he didn't know what her stepmother was doing while he was not home. He asks if his daughter was not exaggerating, because she is so nice to the girl and says that she is going to work, but that very soon she was back. The girl asks him again not to go, and he asks the girl not to be dramatic and says, "The father is going to work, but tomorrow morning I'm back." When he leaves, he finds his stepmother, who asks, "Are you leaving, my love?" He says yes, and that she was supposed to take care of his little angel. She agrees and says goodbye. The stepmother goes into the room and asks the girl, "What were you saying to your ordinary father?" The girl replied, "I wasn't saying anything, I was just saying goodbye." Your angry stepmother says, "Saying goodbye? But now you're going to regret trying to tell him." The girl says, "Auntie, please don't do anything to me," and the stepmother says, "Don't you do anything? A pin, I'll show you now." When walking through the house, the stepmother asks the girl, "Do you not like your puppy? Today you're going to sleep with him, in that stinky room, and woe to you if you tell your father," and ask if the girl was listening. When arriving in a room, the stepmother pushes the girl and says, "Stay there, you stinky, that's where you deserve to stay." The girl says, "But Auntie, here is very cold and this sofa is very hard." The stepmother says, "I don't care where you are, go to sleep, I don't even want to know." And another one, "You won't even leave until tomorrow morning, only when your father arrives, you're going to spend the whole night here. You're going to pee there, and I don't even want to know, and look here, if you open your mouth to your father, I'll hang you, and you don't know what I'm capable of." And say goodnight to the girl and lock her up. The next day, when she wakes up, the stepmother sees how beautiful the day was and says, "Oh my God, I wanted so much to go to a beach, but how are you with this ordinary here at home? And I'm not going to walk with anyone careless with me. I'll never take this little monster with me. When thinking about the girl, she remembers that the girl's father was about to arrive, and, when she saw the time, she went to the room where she locked her stepdaughter. When walking to the room, the stepmother mumbles, "This must be punishment," and says, "Let me remove this stink before her father arrives." When she enters, she says to the girl, "And then ordinary?" And she feels a stench and asks the girl, "Did you pee your pants?" "Oh, I can't believe you peed." The girl then replied, "I peed my pants, because the door was locked." The stepmother retorts saying, "Are you thinking I'm going to clean it? You're the one who's going to clean it up. I'm going to get the squeegee and the broom, but before that, come for coffee and something else. You'll only eat 2 cookies, because you're too chubby, and walk fast." When arriving in the kitchen, the stepmother tells the girl to sit down and reminds her again that she would only eat those 2 cookies and that the girl was not supposed to take more from the pot. The girl speaks very quietly, "I want milk with Nesca." The stepmother mocks, saying, "You didn't hear," and repeating what the girl had said and asking, "Oh girl, are you traveling?" What if the girl knew how much milk was costing her? And she says that it costs 7 to 8 reis a box of milk for you to drink? "Wait a minute, I'll get you something to drink," and come back with a glass of water and say, "Drink water, because you're chubby, so it helps, and hurry because your father is coming." Soon she changes her mind and sends the girl to take a shower, because she was stinking. When she finishes her bath and sits down at the table, the girl asks, "Now can I eat?" "What I do with you?" hanging the girl and ordering her to eat. When the father arrives, he says, "Hi, good morning, my loves." The stepmother says, "Good morning, love," and tells Annie to say good morning to her father. The girl obeys and says, "Good morning, daddy," and closes her eyes, because she was sleepy. Then her father says, "I can see that the night was good," and walks to the stepmother to kiss her and thank her for taking care of her daughter, and she falsely says, "It was a pleasure to take care of this wealth." He walks up to the girl and asks, "Did you enjoy staying at your father's house?" Not seeing that behind him the stepmother was making signs to the girl says she liked it, and her father says he's going to take a shower and then comes back. The girl asks him not to go, and he says, "Calm down, I'm just going to take a shower and go." Her stepmother goes up to the girl and says, "You bastard, were you going to tell him? You don't know what I'm capable of, Ana Laura?" The father comes back in the kitchen and greets them, and the stepmother asks him to sit down for breakfast, and he asks his daughter, "What did you want to talk to the father about?" Sitting next to Laura, her stepmother asks the girl to tell him what she wanted to say, and the girl says that she wants to go back to her mother's house, and the stepmother, all cynic, says, "Why do you want to go back to your mother?" The girl says she missed her mother. The stepmother then asks her husband to call the girl's mother, and he says he's going to have breakfast, and he calls, and his wife says, "It's not better to call now, because it's a child, and if she gets sick," and tells him to call. He gets up and says he's going to get his cell phone. And the stepmother says to the girl, "You did very well, get out of my house." A few years later, her husband's cell phone rings, and when he answers, it is from work asking him to go to work, and he says, "No, I had already talked to the coordinator that I would stay at home for 15 days, because my wife is operated on," but they inform him that he was supposed to go today, and he then confirms and says that Jaja would be there. When he hangs up the phone, his wife says, "Love, I don't believe it," and he says, "I have to go today," and she asks, "But now who's going to stay with me? It has to be a person you can trust," and he says, "Don't worry, I already know someone to stay with you." He gets up and leaves. Upon returning home, he informs his stepmother that the one who would take care of her would be Ana Laura. Ana Laura says, "Hi dear stepmother, how long?" The scared stepmother screams, "What?" And she says she doesn't need to bother, and asks her husband to stay, and he says he doesn't have to go to work, and looks at the schedule. The father asks his daughter, "You're going to take care of her, aren't you?" And he says goodbye to his wife, and she says to the girl, "Hi Annie." The girl comes close and says, "Now it's Annie, right?" And the stepmother says, "Forgive me, Annie, at that time I had a bad spirit in me." The girl says, "Forgive me? Now are you scared, you scumbag?" The stepmother says, "Forgive me again, you were so little you don't even remember anymore." And the girl says, "Do you really think I don't remember? And I won't forget, you pay me." Her husband then says goodbye and shouts for his daughter to take care of her stepmother and leaves. Seeing that her husband was leaving, the wife says, "No my love," and cries for God. A while later, her cell phone wakes up and she calls Aninha to bring her the medicines, and Aninha appears and says, "You're going to have to take them now, right?" And she throws them on the floor and says if she wants to, she'll have to pick them up and leave. Her stepmother says, "No girl, it's antibiotic and anti-inflammatory, and I have to take everything now, and I can't get up on my own," and she starts crying. Her stepdaughter, who was combing her stepmother's hair, asks, "And then, ordinary, was she able to take her medicine?" And she pulls her stepmother's hair, and her stepmother says, "How am I going to take it if you threw everything on the floor?" and screams, because the girl was pulling her hair. On the couch, she asks Aninha to bring a glass of water, because she was thirsty. The girl comes with a glass and throws the water on the floor, and asks her stepmother to get up and lick it off the floor, and reminds her of what she did to her, and that had no forgiveness. Hey guys? Do you think people like her really change? Leave it in the comments.